Welcome back. So this is a career video that I've had on the board since the day I did the Stu Barnes video. And because things have been so crazy busy, I haven't had the time to get the Freddie Olausson video done. And it's another one of those players that might be forgotten by today's standards, but he was pretty good. Offensively, he was a pretty good defenseman. Defensively, there were some issues there, but offensively, pretty good defenseman. So he's the number 81 pick in 1985 by the Winnipeg Jets. Thus, the Winnipeg Jets 80s jersey I'm wearing. 86-87 and made his debut in Winnipeg. 72 games, 7 goals, 29 assists, 36 points for Olausson. In 10 playoff games, 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points. Spirits are pretty high in Winnipeg the 86-87 season. They do get out of the first round. And there's some belief that, maybe they can really and truly join the Battle of the Prairies, Calgary and Edmonton having the Battle of Alberta. Maybe it could be a Battle of the Prairies with Winnipeg. Well, Winnipeg would very often finish third in that battle. 87-88, Olausson only plays in 38 games for the Jets that year. 5 goals, 10 assists, 15 points. In the playoffs, 5 games played, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. So the overall numbers, still pretty good. Just missing over half the season, hurts the overall numbers. But that's what's going to happen. 88-89, he's healthy that year. 75 games, 15 goals, 47 assists, 62 points. Again, very good point totals by a defenseman. He wasn't in contention for the Norris, but very good point totals for him with Winnipeg. And he's one of those players that, if he had played in New York, if he had played in Montreal, if he had played in Boston even, one of the areas where you get more attention, he might have got more attention as well. 89-90, 77 games, 9 goals, 46 assists for 55 points. All offense. In the playoffs that year, 7 games played and 2 assists for the Winnipeg Jets. So he's pretty much a staple on their blue line right now. And being all offense is fine as long as that offense is great, right? So 71 games in 90-91, 12 goals, 29 assists for 41 points for Freddie Olausson. No playoffs that year. Winnipeg was, in the playoffs, out of the playoffs regularly. LA and Vancouver were, struggling teams in that Smythe division. 91-92. 77 games. It's the only time in his career he would score 20 goals in a season. He gets exactly 20 goals to go with 42 assists for 62 points. So he ties a career high for points, and that would remain a career high throughout. 7 games played in the playoffs, 1 goal, 5 assists, 6 points. That was a tough series for Winnipeg, too, because they had Vancouver down, couldn't take them out. So Vancouver comes back and wins that series. 92-93, 68 games played, 16 goals, 41 assists for 57 points. And then in the playoffs that year, again, against Vancouver, 6 games played and just the 2 assists. So 93-94, he plays 18 games in Winnipeg, 2 goals, 5 assists, 7 points. And then he's traded. He's traded with a 1994 7th in exchange for a 1994 third-round pick to the Edmonton Oilers. So again, his value isn't anywhere near as high as you would think it would be, considering the point totals, right? So he's having a bit of a down year, and they trade him off. In Edmonton after the trade in 93-94, 55 games, 9 goals, 19 assists, 28 points. So overall, 35 points in 73 games. Still very respectable for a defenseman. 94-95, however, in Edmonton, the goal scoring disappears, and he only plays 33 games that year. 10 assists in those 33 games. And it doesn't get better in 95-96. Just the 20 games played in Edmonton. 6 assists, so no points in 2 years with the Edmonton Oilers there after the 9 goals following the trade in 93-94. And on January 16th, the Anaheim Ducks claim him on waivers. They claim him on waivers. He plays 36 games with the Ducks after being claimed, and his offense kind of returns. 2 goals, 16 assists for 18 points. So 0.5 points per game, that's pretty good. And so Anaheim happy with the return. 96-97, plays 20 games in Anaheim, 2 goals, 9 assists, 11 points. And they figure he's got value. We can move him. So they traded him with Alex Hicks in exchange for Sean Antosky and Dmitry Mironov from Pittsburgh. So yeah, there was some value to Freddie Olausson. Olausson in Pittsburgh after the trade, 51 games, 7 goals, 20 assists, 27 points. In the playoffs, 4 games played, just the 1 assist. 97-98, he stays in Pittsburgh, 76 games with the Penguins, 6 goals, 27 assists, 33 points. In the playoffs, 6 games, and just the 3 assists. So he becomes a free agent. It takes a while for him to get signed. It's August 26th when he gets signed by the Anaheim Ducks. 98-99 with the Ducks. Excellent season. What a comeback for Olausson offensively. 74 games, 16 goals, 40 assists, 56 points. So this is after, being waived and going through some pretty dark times, and then 56 points. In the playoffs, just the 4 games, 2 assists. Not bad for a guy who didn't sign until August 26th. 99-2000, 70 games played, 15 goals, 19 assists, 34 points. And he becomes a free agent. He decides, I'm going to go over and play in Europe. So he plays in the Swiss League, plays for Bern in 2000-2001. So that's where you would normally see the NHL career is done, right? He's played his way through. He's been with Anaheim twice. He had a good run in Winnipeg. Well, it's a pretty good career. Yeah, it's probably finished. But he signed as an unrestricted free agent May 24th by the Detroit Red Wings. So 2001-2002, he comes in. And I mean May 24th of 2001. So he's coming into the Detroit organization. And in 47 games that year, 2 goals, 13 assists, 15 points. So he doesn't play every game. Doesn't have to. In the playoffs, 21 games, 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points. So at this stage where it's winding down for him, he gets a Stanley Cup. He gets a Stanley Cup for a team that this is the only year he plays for Detroit. That's it. So there's some good fortune for Freddie Olausson. Maybe some good news for Freddie Anderson this year. We don't know yet. But Freddie Olausson in this video, this was some good fortune for him. Detroit picks him up. He's a decent depth defenseman for them in the playoffs. And he gets himself a Stanley Cup. This is why when I see people talk about X player will never win a Stanley Cup, we don't know. We have no idea. If somebody had said in 2000, Freddie Olausson's going to come over and win a Stanley Cup again after he just signed in the Swiss League, you'd look at the guy like he had 6 heads for saying it. So who wins the Stanley Cup doesn't necessarily depend on necessarily just that player. It's the whole team experience, right? So 2002-2003, on July 12th, he signs as a UFA back in Anaheim again. Really liked Anaheim. That's the 3rd time he ends up in Anaheim. The first time on waivers, and the 2nd and 3rd time as a free agent. Plays 44 games that final year to reach 1,000 games. 2 goals, 6 assists for 8 points. Only the 1 playoff game. No points in that. And that's the end of his career. Plays 1,022 games, so he gets over that 1,000 game mark. 147 goals, respectable for a defenseman. 434 assists for 581 points. 71 playoff games, 6 goals, 23 assists, 29 points. And again, he has that Stanley Cup with the 2002 Detroit Red Wings, a team which heard how they were too old, they were too slow, and then in the 2002 playoffs, it doesn't really matter. They're the Stanley Cup champions. So, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting career. I thought it'd be fun to look at. And sometimes these career videos aren't necessarily about, getting all the Hall of Famers and the big names. It's about doing a video on a guy like Freddie Olausson, who many people may not know who he is now, but he was a good defenseman. And he had a silver at the 1986 World Championships. He had 5th place on Team Sweden at the 2002 Olympics. And his son Oscar was picked number 28th overall by the Colorado Avalanche this year. His son is a right winger, so if the defensive issues are like Freddie's were during his time, it might be easier to cover up for it than it is with a defenseman. But we'll see, right? We'll see whether or not Oscar Olausson ends up being a good NHLer that at some point in time in the future I end up doing videos on, or not. But either way, good career for Freddie Olausson. And anybody who plays over 1,000 games in the NHL has to be a pretty good player. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happen upon this video. And I apologize if I slipped and said Freddie Anderson more than once. It's just you say it a lot over the years. Freddie Olausson, you don't say as often. It's going to happen. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.